Hey folks, welcome back to the Workplace Innovator podcast. It's me, Mike P., with another first-time visitor to this program. But I'll tell you, it's someone who I have met just recently because one of her colleagues was on the show last year. You may remember Pallavi, and she was a great contributor. I met her years ago through another podcast in the world of workplace, and it all comes together, everybody, here in the world of podcasting around facility management, corporate real estate, and the built environment. And today I am thrilled to introduce someone with a lot of expertise and research related to architecture and design and how we create great spaces where people can thrive. She is currently the research and insights lead at Arcadis, and she's an associate there as well. And she's joining us from just down the street here in our Washington, D.C. suburbs. Everybody, please welcome Dr. Helia Taheri to the show. Helia, welcome to the Workplace Innovator podcast.
Hi, Mike. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm super excited for our conversation.
I am as well. It's so great to meet new people, of course. And we've chatted over the last few months trying to find a great time to record. And I'm really excited to learn about some of the research you've done. But before we get there, the fact that you're here, right here in the Washington, D.C. suburbs, we're in this kind of spring, almost summer time of year where one day it's 50 degrees, the next day it's hot and humid and 90s. I think that's what we're dealing with this week. How are you doing in this weather?
I'm doing fine. Enjoying the spring weather, which we all needed after the winter. We had a lot of snow, you know that, right? We had this year,
this was
the
a big
snow
year
was
for us.
crazy.
Yeah.
And I am just super excited for the spring and see the blossoms and, the trees having, new leaves and things like that. Love it. Just love it.
And how long have you lived in the area? Because we heard your story. It's an amazing journey. Why don't you tell everybody just the Cliff Notes version of how you ended up here and how you ended up at Arcadis?
Absolutely. So I am to just give you a zoom out version of myself. Sure. I am coming from an artist family. I'm born and raised in Iran. My dad is an artist, my photographer, my mom as well. So I did my Bachelor of Architecture back in Iran at University of Tehran, which is the biggest university in Iran. And then when I wanted to choose my master, I wanted to have some rationale behind my decision. So I decided to go to Master of Sustainability. I worked for 4.5 years as an architect. I'm a licensed architect, energy specialist, a lecturer, instructor, all those kind of things, specifically in sustainability field back in Iran. And then at
Excellent.
One point around 2016, I realized that I'm not paying that much of attention to people side of things. And I was so focused in sustainability, energy simulations, all those things. And I was really good at it. And I was one of the few graduates in this field in Iran. So I was very famous. I was, publishing books. I was teaching in major universities. You. Yeah. And I just couldn't do it anymore. I was like, I know something is really important, like people in the built environment, and I'm missing that part. And I just can't do energy simulation alone anymore. So I started searching about what are the programs out there that they can help me to learn that part of the built environment. And I found a great program at NC State, North Carolina State University. It was called Ph.D. in Design. It was a multidisciplinary program. And they gave me great funding and great fellowship. So
Wonderful.
I moved to the US. Yeah, it's an amazing program. So I moved to the US in 2017 to do my PhD in the College of Design at NC State.
Go Wolfpack.
Wolfpack, absolutely. I'm a huge Wolfpack.
I'm a Hokie, tell you. So we have a little bit of a across the border rivalry there. NC State and Virginia Tech.
Yeah, exactly. We are, we have been in some games and things like that. But like NC said, it was kind of a turning point for me in this field. I had an amazing advisor, Dr. Tracy Ryder. And I'm gonna send the link when the
Sure.
podcast published to her, because she's an amazing human being, a knowledgeable person who just opened a lot of doors for me and just helped me to
Wonderful.
explore this field. And then when my PhD was on K-12 schools, I was understanding teachers' behaviors in the classrooms, and I defended during COVID in 2021, which was really, really hard to do, especially when, sampling and things like that in schools, but we managed to finish it. During my PhD, I was working at HKS, Payette, Ratio Architects, and then I was hired by Callis and RTKL in February 2022 as a research strategist. I had an amazing and a great leader named Sarah Wicker. She again opened a lot of doors for me, pushed me out of my comfort zone to lead some of the programs, to do research. And then when Arcadis acquired IBI in, I think, March of 2023, maybe, we all became one Arcadis. And I moved to the innovation team, and then I moved to experience design team, and I'm working in a great team of experience design. My two leaders are Paul Conder and Angela Costa. Again, in each role, I'm very lucky to have great leaders who opens different doors for me to, explore some of my passions. And I'm practice area agnostic.
It's a great story, Helia, and it's something that you've touched on so many of the important things we talk about here on this podcast. It's the human side, it's the people, it's the connectivity, the community, the mentorship, and you continue that. It sounds like I heard you spend some time in Austin recently at South by Southwest. Tell me briefly about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I was in South by Southwest in Austin in March 12 to 18 of this year. I was a mentor in design track, and I had.
Cool.
There's a new thing in South by. It's called Brain Date, which is basically you propose a session. It's called Brain Date, which I proposed a session on intent, design, impact. And, we chatted with different people in that session. And it was a very casual conversation, but I met a psychologist, I met an urban designer, I met a lot of, students there. I met people who were just wanted to understand how they can measure the impact of the design on people. And South by this year for me was a little bit different than last year that I attended as a mentor as well. And this year it was a lot of conversations about social connection. And last year it was a lot about AI. And it was really interesting to me to see the change in each year and how people are craving social connection. They crave to connect with each other, and just people talk about it. It was really interesting.
Well, it's an exciting time, and the focus you have is something I'm very interested in. I want to hear more about your perspectives on the workplace and how you can give some practical advice to my audience, and we'll get into all that here in a moment. But you mentioned you're an artist at heart. You grew up in a family of artists, and creativity is wonderful. And I imagine music played a role. I love to take on the role of DJ Mike P, Helia, and offer my audience some great music. Do you have something you could share with us?
I used to play, I don't do that like professional and that often. I used to play piano, and I have here's a messy part of my room, but can you see the accordion here?
Accordion, what?
Yes,
excellent.
I have an accordion here. So I play those musics. But in general, I'm interested, at the end of each year, Spotify give you a recap of the musics that you listen.
Yes, Spotify Wrapped.
I know, Spotify Wrapped. And I always, my wrap up of the year is always talking about how I listen to different music from different countries. Even if I don't understand the words, the feeling of it, and to just see how different music of different countries is being played, it's really interesting to me. And
just the vibe, yeah.
I know, it just, even if you don't understand it, you feel like if it is about the love,
feel the music. I love
if it is about the the word, like what is it about? What is it about? So I'm really interested in that.
Well,
And
accordion, I got to interrupt you. The accordion, I only know one person who played the accordion and made a pop career out of it, and that was Weird Al Yankovic. Do you know Weird Al by chance? You got to look him up. He's a kind of a parody artist who takes all these different types of songs, pop artists, pop music, famous songs. He continues to do it to this day, but I first was introduced to him back in the 80s and 90s. And he's so talented, and he plays the accordion and kind of creates like a polka vibe because accordion is big in polka music. Yeah. And again, if you like different types of music, you like strange feelings, you'll get him from Weird Al Yankovic. That's my recommendation. So let's
I'm going to check it out.
Jot that down. Yeah, maybe it'll be on your Spotify next year.
Yeah.
Next Spotify Wrapped. Let me know. Hey, the other thing I like to do before we get into some more details about your research is inspiring the audience. So I wanted to know if you had a favorite motivational quote you could share with us.
Oh, yes, I do. I actually have it on my desk always. I bought this card for me in June 2022 when I was at EDAC conference, Environmental Design Research Conference. And it's a quote from Gandhi, which is, "Be the change you wish to see in the world."
Yes.
And I always it's an amazing quote. And the time that I saw this quote, I was like, this is exactly what I want to do. And so I bought it for me, and I wrote something for me in it to just remind myself. And it always remind myself that even if we are just one person in the whole world of a couple of billion people, we have a role to play. I mean, we have a mission. We have a thing that we can contribute to the world to make it better. Even if sometimes it's so hard to imagine it that we have a role to play, but we do. It could be in our family, it could be in our work, it could be in our community. So that's one of the reminders for me to just always keep pushing, even if it's hard. Just keep pushing.
A great reminder indeed, and I love that message, and I love that passion. Helia, it's wonderful to hear it and to see that you are contributing to our community through your research and your Ph.D. work and your mentorship. And that makes you a workplace innovator. So I wonder, from your perspective, when you come on a podcast like this, where I'm trying to encourage my audience to be a workplace innovator, what does that mean today? What comes to mind for you?
The first thing that comes to mind for me is to be intellectually curious, like to know that sometimes we just don't know. Sometimes it's good to not know, and it's good to be curious about what we don't know. And I think that for me is like a seed of the innovation. When we think and when we know that we don't know something, and we are curious, and we start reading, we start talking to people, we start just observing the world from that curiosity lens. It opens a lot of doors of innovations for us. And even if when talking to people, we are all of us have some sort of biases, whether we know or not know. And and when we are curious, we become more, aware of our own biases, how we are seeing the world, how other people are seeing the world, how we can change our perspective, and I think that for me is the innovation. And be open to be wrong, like be open that it's okay to be wrong. It's totally fine to be wrong. One of the things that I learned during my PhD, which was really hard for me to learn, is that sometimes just the outcome of the research could be the hypothesis is wrong, and I was wrong, and nobody else will do it, which is fine, which is still a good outcome. And for me, the innovation is be curious and be open to fail and be wrong, and keep measuring the impacts. Keep that measurement.
I love that. Yeah, it's all of those things, and it's something that is such an important message, and so well said, Helia. It's because we are in a world where everyone feels like they need to be certain and get control of things. And the older I get and the more I learn, the less I know. I think there's a quote in there somewhere, but it's like, I'm okay with that. it's not that I don't know anything. It's not dismissing all I have learned and not dismissing all of the experiences I've been blessed to have and all the things I've learned through wonderful conversations like this and on this show. But the minute we start saying, I know it all, or I feel like I take a position of I'm certain about this is the best way or the only way to proceed, that's when we get into trouble. And that's where innovation dies. And we fail to maintain that curiosity and continue to grow. And I feel like it's a journey of being a workplace and a facility management leader and an architect and a designer. It's like this constant journey and exploration of ways we can grow and improve and learn new things. And that's what's exciting about all of this. So thank you for sharing
Absolutely.
that. With that in mind, I am curious to know here in 2026, what is top of mind for you? You continue to grow in your career and have these opportunities to share your insights and your research. What are some of the biggest issues, challenges, and opportunities facing our industry that you could share with my audience?
Absolutely. I think what I'm seeing this year is that, I mean, I saw that last year as well, but I think this year has become more obvious that our clients have, like, they are requesting for more human-centered approach. They are requesting and asking for more evidence-based. They have a lot of data that they are measuring with all these different technologies they have in their offices, and sometimes having a lot of data is hard to figure out, like, what do they say, and if they measure the right thing or not. So I think I'm seeing this change toward more data driven approaches. And I'm also one other thing that it's one of my passions and one of my deep loves since 2 years ago is a field called neuroarchitecture, which is a combination of neuroscience and architecture. And it's a very interesting topic. And I didn't know that this century we see the shift. And I was taking some classes and reading something about that, and they were saying that we see a shift toward biology and neuroscience in this century. And that's why you see a lot of conversations about neuroplasticity, whether it is in behavior change, whether it is in having a new habit, building a new habit, or it is in leadership. I mean, it's everywhere. Or we are seeing a lot of new fields emerging, like neuroart, neuroarchitecture, neurourbanism, neurotech, just a lot of things. And what they basically say is that how these different things impact on the brain health and on that neurons and neuroscience, neurology level of things, of our beings. Wow. And I think that is one of the topics that I'm becoming more and more interested in, and seeing the human-centered approach, and in general the approach toward the workplace design, or even any design, from a whole person approach. Because I'm Helia, but even if I'm an employee, but I have my physical health, I have my mental health, I have my social health, I have a lot of different things that I need to figure out to work better. And I see that the whole person approach and that evidence-based approach more and more in the design, and figuring out which tools and data that we need to use to answer those amazing questions.
Wow. Yeah, this is fascinating to me. And I'd love to ask you a little bit more about how we do approach this as leaders in our industry. The people listening to us want to understand, obviously, the data and the technology tools and all these things available to us. We've talked a lot about AI and how it can automate the analysis of things. But what you're alluding to here, Helia, reminds me that the human experience and the social connectivity and the side of things that I don't think technology is going to be able to answer very easily. And I've had recent guests on that have talked about emotional intelligence and make sure we're fine tuning some of these skills that are unique to human beings, and then taking the data and information and all this research and then applying it appropriately to this very complicated human existence. Is that the right approach from your perspective?
I think so. Yes, and I want
Okay.
to add one more thing to that is that I'm a firm believer of the mixed methods approach and mixed methods research when we want to measure something. And one of the things that I see in some of the reports and things like that I'm seeing is that, for example, a report comes out or a research comes out, whatever it is, they're saying that, okay, we did this survey of this many people and this is the outcome, which is fine to me. But one of the caveats here and one of the nuances here is that we are seeing the problem from one perspective. We are seeing the problem of, let's say, I don't know, productivity or engagement or connections, anything like that, from
Right.
one perspective, which is the employees' perceptions of how they feel about certain thing, right? But to
Sure.
have a better understanding about the whole picture of it and how we can design better buildings, what are the things that we need to fix, we need to have multiple perspectives and multiple ways of collecting the data. And to give you a very, very personal example is that, and it's very applicable to the workplace.
Great.
So I have an office here. I have a home office, and it has a closed door. It has an operable window, and at some in about a couple of months ago, I realized that I am feeling tired especially when I have the full day meetings, like back to back calls, and I don't get out of the room or the door that doesn't open. Around 2 p.m. or 3 p.m., I feel so tired. I feel like I just can't. And I started to observing of when I am feeling tired, what's happening and all those things. And I remember that I did my PhD. I read a couple of papers because my PhD was on indoor air quality and thermal comfort.
Okay.
So I studied reading some research about the impact of the high CO2 level on feeling fatigue. And I was like, maybe that is it. So I bought the sensor, and it's right by my desk, which is this sensor.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's not it's $50, but it has wireless. It connects to your phone and things like that. And I started observing again, right? I put this sensor and I realized that when I have full day meeting, the CO2 level around 2 to 3 p.m. rises above the comfort level. It goes 100, 1,000 and 200, something like that. And the comfort level is around 800 ppm.
Okay.
So I decided when this happened, I opened the window, I opened the door, and it goes down, and I didn't feel fatigue. What I want to say is that sometimes, let's say I didn't buy this sensor, right? For the mixed methods approach I'm talking about. Let's say we have an office and we want to have employee experience. And we are asking some questions about fatigues and, all those things. And we realize that, okay, most of the people feel fatigue, this percentage of them feel fatigue. What do we do if we don't know what are other factors in the office look like? What if we don't know what is the CO2 level look like? What if we don't know what is a daylight level look like? What is a thermal comfort look like? All those things to understand the why behind why people feeling fatigue. If we don't understand that part, we maybe come up with a solution which is data driven, but it's very biased. And we come up with a solution that doesn't solve it. It just put a Band-Aid on it, that level of data driven and evidence based and mixed methods approach. That is one of the things that I'm very interested in, and I keep pushing.
Really good,
for that.
Really great practical example, and completely understandable completely, in that sense that I've experienced the same thing, and I haven't even thought to measure the air quality in the DJ Mike P podcast studio. So instead of taking a nap, I will check my CO2 levels in the future.
Taking a nap still is good.
That's a good idea too. Yeah.
Sensor. I'm going to send you the sensor that I got.
If possible. Good. Hey, Helia, I'm looking at the clock. The time goes by so fast. It always does. I got to ask you one more question before letting you go. Something practical. Do you have any final thoughts or a piece of advice you could share with my audience as we head into the future of the workplace together?
Absolutely. I think one last thing that I want to say, the practical thing, I want to say go back to that measure the impact, right? We have facility managers as audience. If you don't measure, you can't manage. If you don't measure, you can't improve. So I think having that measurement, having that constant measurement when the building is being built or, throughout the life of the building keeps you more informed about what's happening in the space, how you can be agile to addressing those things that are happening to make your space align with the need of the people who are using that. And it could be from a lot of different ways. It should be mixed method. It should be with at least two methods, but it could be survey, interviews, focus group observations. You have some sensors, indoor environmental quality sensors. You have occupancy sensors. Just try to measure and try to build the infrastructure for your space to measure those in more frequently.
Amazing. Great stuff. Great advice. Really have enjoyed hearing from you today. And Dr. Helia Taheri, I want to thank you for taking time to join me here on the Workplace Innovator podcast.
Thank you so much for Mike for having me. I had an amazing experience here. You are a great host. All those questions, all those conversations, and it's just so comfortable. Thank you. Thank you for creating this space.
I'm glad you had fun, and I really appreciate it. We'll talk again soon. Say hi to Pallavi for me and everyone else at Arcadis. And I hope you all enjoyed watching and listening to my conversation today. If so, if this podcast is bringing you value of any kind, please share the link to this video or to this audio. And I hope you'll continue to join us as we continue on our journey to encourage and inspire you to be a workplace innovator. Peace out, everybody.